Fauna of New Zealand, welcome to our live Facebook chat this evening. We're covering the hot topic of sleep. So, I am here with you tonight, and my name is Lynn. And I've been a Plunket nurse for many years. I've worked in the community, and I've been working at PlunketLine for the last 6 years. So, I've helped many, many people with their little ones and their sleep and troubleshooting all sorts of things. It's been a real privilege to work alongside everyone and learn all the tricks of the trade. I'm a mum of two gorgeous boys who are now grown men, and it wasn't too long ago we were all dealing with the shenanigans of sleep and toddlerhood and things. So I look forward to our discussion tonight. I have with me Regina. She is a colleague working on PlunketLine alongside me.
Hi, I'm Regina. I'm a PlunketLine nurse, also, like she said, at PlunketLine. And my family includes my husband and my teenage son. And we've been through the sleep and settling journey. And now we're on the other side. So have hope that someday you will also have a child that loves to sleep.
Thanks, Regina. Right, so let's get into it. Today, we're going to be discussing the pēpi sleep patterns or lack thereof, encouraging the day-night cycle for your pēpi, how to settle pēpi, building sleep habits, and really safety advice around sleep and swaddling. So, to kick it off, Regina, how would you explain the little one's sleep patterns?
Well, babies have a circadian rhythm, and that it hasn't really kicked in yet. So their little bodies don't recognize the difference between day and night. And it will start to really kick in around 3 to 4 months. Young ones are in the REM sleep phase, that more active sleep phase, around 50% of the time, because they have shorter sleep cycles compared to around 20% of adults. And in adults. This means that they're more active in their sleep, and you may see that through snuffles, eye movement, sounds, etc. So if they're doing these sort of things, don't wake them. Let them just have that active sleep. Um, pēpi need more sleep than us adults, and it decreases as they move through the ages and stages. So, for example, newborns, they'll sleep between 14 to 17 hours. That seems like a wide range, but they're all different, aren't they? Infants sleep between 12 and 15 hours. Toddlers sleep between 11 and 14 hours. And preschoolers sleep between 10 and 13 hours. These are not hard and fast, and each pēpi is different, and there is variation around these numbers. It's super normal for pēpi to wake often at night in the first 6 months. They need to feed through the night to get enough food for their growth and development, so they will wake when they are hungry, and that's very normal in these first 6 months. Sleep does not happen in isolation. There are wider factors that affect baby's ability to sleep, and what works for your whānau is what's best.
That sounds like wrapping it up in a nutshell. And also remember when we're talking about sleep, like I think the newborns 14 to 17 hours, it's not all at one stretch. So some, and even
Yes.
some toddlers, they might have 20 or 30-minute naps in the day, but they do a hugely long sleep at night, where others might still wake at night and do longer sleeps in the day. But in total, that's what we would
Yes.
expect would be normal from
Yes.
them. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
that's
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's all
yeah.
it is, divided up. And just remember, with that active sleep, it can look different for each child. I remember my son, once he got to be in the infant stage around 3 months, we would go through the bedtime routine and put him in his cot, and we would call it downloading. He would just wiggle and talk to himself to sleep. That was his settling, was being really loud. And then he would just fall asleep in the middle of blah, 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 blah. So it looks different for every child. Some of them close their eyes and suck their thumb and are really quiet, whereas I had a noisy boy who just
Yeah,
talked himself to sleep.
yeah. And some babies even just have a little cry. They need to let off that last
Yeah,
bit of energy before they sort of settle down.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think even as adults, we wake at night, we look around, we go, thank God it's still dark, nobody's waking us, and we'll turn over and go back to sleep. So they're just learning to do that, and they need our help to do that sometimes.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. It's a human instinct, isn't it, to for self-preservation. We wake to make sure we're safe, and then we can go back to sleep. That's why it's so
Mm.
important to have children sleeping in the same safe area for themselves, so they wake up and they recognize where they are and where they've gone to sleep, and that's a very
Mm.
important
I
safety
think
thing
that's
for them.
yeah, and I think it's also a point that if they go to sleep in one place and they wake up in another, that sometimes what gives them a fright, and then they need some
Exactly.
help to resettle because they're not quite sure where they are and what they're doing or what they're supposed to be doing. Eh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, how would we help our wee ones get used to that day-night cycle when they're so small?
Right. Well, during the day, make sure these day feeds are they run with their fun time with talking and cuddling, so that they're awake during the day feed, and then have the curtains slightly open when they're sleeping, so that you're not needing to use those blackout curtains for naps. That they know they can sleep, but in a quiet, darkened area, but not necessarily pitch black like it would be at night, so that their circadian rhythm shows them that they can have a shorter sleep. A child might sleep an hour and a half as opposed to, a 4 hour sleep cycle. Um, and make sure that your everyday noises are normal. You can use the vacuum cleaner and shower. And if they're sleeping, if they can hear you from where they're sleeping, most babies sleep through household noises, but you can also just have whatever noise you think might be comforting to them, like if you want to have music on during the day and while you're doing some things or working or whatever, and it shouldn't bother them, and it gives them a rhythm to their day sleeps. At
Yeah, I
night.
re
Mhm,
I remember,
yeah.
when I was pregnant, I used to listen to the same sort of music. It sort of just spoke to me at that time. And then when I
Yes.
had an unsettled baby in those first months, I played my music, and I think he must have recognized it because he just settled right
Yeah.
down because they
Yeah.
can hear it
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I remember doing things like that too. And there were certain rhythms of music that my son just really
Mm,
liked to calm down to, and that's a good thing to have at night. Keep the room quiet, but if you want a noise like a white noise or a calming music, that would be really good at nighttime. The lights can be low, especially if you're needing to go in and out, so that you're not startling the baby if you need to go in and sit in a chair and breastfeed in that room in the middle of the night. When your baby cries in the night, settle or feed them as soon as you can, um, and give night feeds in the bedroom. Babies need to feed at night for the first 6 months so they get enough food for growth and development. And feeding them in the bedroom will help keep these feeds short and make them different from daytime feeds. Don't play or talk to your baby when feeding. This will hopefully help them settle back to sleep easier. And that's as opposed to that fun, playful feed during the day to keep them awake. You want
mm,
to relax them and let them know that this is business time. We're going to get some nutrients and go back to bed. For highly sensitive babies, blackout curtains may be useful, but ideally we're exposing pēpi to the day-night cycle, not suppressing it. So I know they're real popular, and people even travel with them sometimes, I've heard. But you can get your baby to relax with a little bit of sun coming in. But just like us, you don't really like to sleep with the sun blaring on you. So you've got to be gentle about how much exposure they do have to that. The most important things in these early months are responding to your baby and being flexible. If your baby's unsettled, it's fine to cuddle or rock them to sleep. It's also okay if your baby sometimes falls asleep while they're feeding. Do what works best for you and your baby.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's building those um, loving connections and sparking those
Mm.
networks in the brain. And that's what that cuddling and interaction and helping them to feel secure does so well. Mm.
Oh, very, very true. Yeah, that
Yeah.
just letting them build those really good hormones where they feel safe and secure, and they'll start to establish that so that they can self settle by relaxing and thinking back on that smell maybe, or the sound of mom's heartbeat, and they can recall that on their own with just the hormones that they can secrete when you're
Mm,
cuddling them. And that's a
mm,
really important part of bonding.
mm. Yeah, because stress in babies is not conducive to sleep. So if they're
No,
stressed
no.
or distraught, the sleep is not going to happen. Much as like we are before exams or big events, we lie awake and
Yes.
at night we just don't yell for our mothers.
Exactly, exactly, yes. Yeah, they will startle if they've, woken up in the night and they're not where they fell asleep. So maybe you're breastfeeding on the in the lounge, and they've fallen asleep on the breast, and then you've very carefully transferred them into the cot. It's going to be more important, and we'll talk a little bit about this more later, but putting your baby to bed sleepy but slightly awake. And we'll go into that in a minute.
Mm, mm, mm. So how can we help these little newborns to settle to sleep when they first arrive in the world?
Yeah. So starting at the newborn stage, and then if you build these really good patterns for sleep, you can move it forward. But the best thing to do, like I said, was put your baby to bed sleepy but awake. Um, and it doesn't have to be, wide awake, obviously, but not so sleepy that their eyes are closed and they've got that really rhythmic, quiet breathing. But have quiet, calm cuddles before bed so that they learn that there's a little pattern to this. There's going to be a feed, there's going to be cuddles, there might even be a book, and it's nice and calming. Unlike the playful time before during the day between naps.
Mm,
So try to put your baby into bed on their back with their face clear when they're sleepy but still awake. But this helps their bedtime become a familiar place to them, and it gives the baby the chance to associate falling asleep with being in bed. It's okay if they have a grizzle or a wiggle. It's just part of their routine. You need to allow them to do this to encourage self-settling behaviors. If it escalates, and that's the cry escalating, intervene, but give them the space to figure it out first. And this is going to be a different time frame for everyone and every baby. Like I said, my son would just talk very loudly for minutes, sometimes even 10 or 15 minutes. And I had to learn not to go pick him up because I thought, oh, he's telling me something, but he would never cry. It would never get to that, oh, I need mom cry. So I just let him be there and just listened. And,
mm,
and you just have to wait it out and see what your child does, and when you do need to respond, because like we said, you don't want to create that sense of anxiety and have
mm.
those stress hormones produced.
I
You
think
can take,
also, like,
mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no.
Sometimes just standing back and working out when they are tired and how long it takes them to go to
Yes.
sleep, and watching them so that you can really work in with their rhythm. So say some babies take 10 to 15 minutes to go to sleep each time, then that's what they need to do. You're not going to make it happen faster by patting and rocking and shushing and all the other things, because actually he's working it out.
Yes,
So
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
My husband used to laugh because even as a newborn, I would read to him, and I think it was lovely to do. I loved the way he looked at me when he heard my voice,
Mm,
and unlike when my husband would read to him, he has a really animated voice. I have a quiet, calm voice, and I really thought it helped, and it really did help put him to sleep. But I would read to him and read to him, and I would watch, and if he would start to get a little bit like, oh, this is a bit boring. I'm looking away, and he wouldn't meet my eyes, and he wouldn't look at the book, and he would get a little bit jiggly. I was thinking this is a sign that he is um, needing to sleep. So it was a sleep sign for me that I was watching for, and I'm sure Len will be back in a moment. Um,
Sorry, my computer battery's just gone flat. I will be there in a minute. Just give me
Oh, don't
a
worry.
minute.
Yeah, no, we can keep on talking about sleep, everyone. So, So when you put Peppy down to bed, and we've been talking about this bedtime routine that I use with my son, you want to give them time to settle. It's very normal for them to grizzle when you first put them into their bassinet or wakakura or cot or Peppy pod. Keep your baby warm, but not too warm. You don't want them to be sweaty when you touch them on that upper back area. So one more layer than an adult would wear is enough. Making sure that they're wearing a cotton or if depending on how cold your house is, like a merino sleep suit, but no loose covers. If you do find you need to use a blanket, tucking it in safely into the sides of the cot, but down at the bottom with the baby's feet at the bottom safely, so that if the baby does move around, they won't be covered by the covers. But of course, nothing in the bed but the baby, if at all possible. Relax your baby by patting, stroking, talking to them quietly, or using a musical mobile. You can stay with them while they go to sleep or leave the room when they're calm but awake, so that they learn that self-settling and they don't need to be feeling your presence while they fall asleep. And if your baby keeps crying or seems to stress, pick them up and comfort them. Feed them if they're hungry, and then try putting them back to bed. So it's starting that cycle very slightly over again. If they get too wound up, they'll need your help to settle again. So it's important not to get those stress hormones going by letting them get too wound up. Every child has a different personality. So it's going to be really important to kind of judge for yourself, how long you have to get the baby sorted and calmed down, because depending on how you know emotionally active your child is, that could be just a couple of minutes and then they're screaming, or it could be like 15 minutes and then they're like, oh, actually I just want mom to cuddle me. So you judge for yourself how much time you do have. It can be really worthwhile to observe your peppy and their sleeping patterns, work with them and their energy peaks and pits, but don't ask them to sleep until at 10 a.m. You've got to watch those wake windows.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Yeah,
Once
we
a,
missed you, Lynn, but we're here.
oh no!
We've been
Once a
chatting
month,
away about
my computer just. I heard what you were
sleep.
saying. I was
Yeah,
just gone. Oh my goodness. Sorry
we
about that.
survived.
All right. And now I've got a different background. So anyway, we'll go with the changes.
Yeah,
So
that's okay.
yeah, that's good information, Regina. Especially, there's so much that you can talk about in the newborn. We could go on for
Oh,
hours. Um,
yes.
but how can we help build that sleep routine with your little ones?
Right. Well, before you put your baby to bed at night, you could try something.
Oh dear, now it's Regina's turn to be gone for a sec. We're having real glitches here this evening. So let's see if she comes back, but I can carry on for her.
So
Um,
I'll start over there because I think that the
yes,
internet went
yes,
something funny. Yeah. So before you put your baby to bed at night,
oh, she's gone again. Regina's in Christchurch near the fires, so it might be interrupting her internet
yeah,
connection.
yeah.
Mm,
So
okay,
did
try
can you
try
did you
again.
did you hear did you hear
Okay,
about the bath? Yeah.
no.
No. Okay, so before you put your baby to bed at night, you could try something like giving them a warm bath, a gentle massage after the bath with maybe some baby lotion, um, a feed, a quiet cuddle before you put them to bed. All of this is in the order of what works for you best. And when your baby wakes in the night, you might want to try quietly feeding them, changing their nappy if you think they might be uncomfortable, and then settling them back to sleep. So this sleep routine will vary, obviously, once you've built that foundation as a newborn, like we talked about before. So now you've got a 3-month-old that really wants to have this, to know what to expect and have a regular routine. So if they have, a warm bath, they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be cozy time soon. And so they get used to that routine, and not everybody has a bath every day, and that's fine. Maybe just a massage on the days that you don't have a bath, so you can have that massage. get them all in their pajamas, and then have that quiet last feed before sleep time,
And
and then a quiet cuddle.
yeah, and I think also for the day sleeps, if they wake up and they have a feed and they have a play, they might need a bit of a nappy change and a top up, and you go to the bedroom, you close the curtains and you swaddle them or you
Mm-hmm.
cuddle them. All those are cueing them that they're going to be going to bed, and it's helping them to unwind. So if you're doing that with each sleep time, chances are they will settle because they know what to do, they know what's coming next, they can relax, they feel secure. Doesn't always work, and those days you just go, okay, it's not working today, they're having a growth spurt or they're having an off day, and just let it go and start again the next time. Would you
Yeah,
agree with
and that
that?
and that oh yeah, and that newborn to up to 3 month stage, the swaddling actually is so cozy for them, and so
Mm,
they're that all those reflexes that they're still figuring out, and the jerking of the arms and their hands moving out, and their legs wiggling, it can really help settle them to have that cozy,
yeah,
warm, and slightly secure but not too tight comfort. And then of
yeah.
course when they
Yeah,
age out of that, to let their arms
yeah.
be free.
Because remember, when they were in the womb, they're all tightly sort of, they're in a very
Yes.
confined space, and it helps
Yeah.
them to feel safe. There are some babies that sleep with their arms up, and that's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. You work out who they are quite soon on. But often, especially in those first weeks, if you leave them out and they do those startle reflexes, they just wake themselves up or they get overtired and overstimulated because there's these funny things passing in front of their eyes.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, they don't know what those hands are that are moving
no.
around. It can be really frightening to them. So, yeah, yeah, those are some really good things to try. Um,
Yeah, and are there other small things that parents or caregivers can give to help their little ones sleep at night?
yes. So, some of these things are giving baby mothers nightie or some article of clothing that she's worn and has her scent, but be really careful with ties that might be on these things that might endanger the child, and just make sure that article of clothing is appropriate to their age. I find what's best is if, not everybody has a, like a nice cotton nightie, but, sort of an old-fashioned cotton or flannel nightie that you can put around the cot mattress and use
Mm,
as a sheet. That can be really helpful. I suggested to someone today on a call, that when they're starting, their daycare, to do that because,
oh,
they
that's
were
a
they
good
were
idea.
yeah,
Mm,
because they were, gonna be starting work, and they were really worried that they would miss mom, and they were contact sleeping a lot. And I thought, well, the baby's going to learn to sleep and be tired and, at preschool, but I mean, or, at that daycare, but the scent of mom on the nightie that they can put around that cot mattress might really help the baby find really settled.
mm,
Um, yeah, and, otherwise, I mean, if the baby's, more than 3 months old and it's not something that they can pull over their face, that might be something they can just hold and feel. But, putting it safely flat on the mattress is probably your safest bet. Parents will find self-settling is easier if they put the baby, to bed, drowsy but awake, like we talked about
mm,
before. And at night, there's no need to change nappies unless they are soiled or the child has a nappy rash and you're worried about the contact with the skin. So, most of these modern nappies are really absorbent and will protect the baby for 12 hours. So you don't need to be too worried about that.
mhm,
And you need to give lots of praise, attention, and cuddles when baby behaves in the way parents prefer. Um, and it provides positive reasons for the baby to continue this behavior. And it seems funny, for a little one to talk to them about what they're doing that you enjoy, but they can sense your joy and your like your pleasure
tone of
at
voice.
in
Mm,
their tone of voice and your pleasure at what's been going on. So if they've had a good 6 hours sleep and you both wake up at 7 a.m. and they look refreshed and you're refreshed, you can go, oh, that was awesome. Good morning. And then they can internalize that, and really it can really help them understand that sleep is a good thing. There's no more FOMO. You don't have to wake up and see what mom's doing. um Yeah, yeah. So, and when the infant feeds at night, feed quietly, quickly. This is an indication to the infant that this is time for sleeping, not playing. This is business time. Keep that light low by using a hall light or a little night light or whatever works for you, so that you're not stumbling around in your room if you're sitting in a chair, if you're taking the baby, out of the cot and into a chair, like a feeding chair or something, or if you're in the baby's room. Um, if sleep is overwhelming, parents can keep a sleep diary and discuss their sleep schedule with one of us, like one of our Plunket nurses, or the Plunket nurse that you might see, or Kaifina, or someone at the family center. We're always here to talk. We also have a video sleep consultation where parents can speak with one of our nurses directly, like Lynn or myself or one of the other nurses, and as well as a sleep and settling course. And this is a great place for people to start. We're going to share links to each of these in the comments. But this sleep and settling course, it takes about 2 hours, but you can pick it up and leave it if you want to just do 15 minutes, like every morning when you have breakfast, and just take a little while to do it. And it has lots of links to different reputable and really relevant websites. So I highly recommend it. It's free, and you just follow the link and you can do that. And it's got such good advice for parents. And it really helps you understand what's going on in the baby's brain and body through different stages, so you can help them and be empathetic to them when they're going through this changes
I
in their
think,
sleep.
yeah, I think if we understand where they're at, it helps us to
Mm-hmm.
be more patient and in tune with them as well. So I think
Absolutely.
I agree, the sleep and settling course is a good place to start. And if you don't find your answers there, or you struggling to implement them or understand them, then absolutely give us a call at PlunketLine, and we can give you some strategies. And if that's not working for you, we can do a one-on-one video call with you and your partner. We can do it all together, and we can sort of
Yeah.
put some things in place, because sleep doesn't happen in isolation, as Regina said in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It could be illness, hunger, maternal mental health issues, family issues, stress in the home, all sorts of things. And in saying
Absolutely.
that, our first question has arrived from Laura, and she asks, if a 9-month-old is eating 3 meals a day, do they need milk feeds during the night, or is it more a comfort thing? How would you go with that,
Right, and
Regina?
the baby's 9 months old,
Hmm.
and they're having solids
Three
during the day.
3 meals a day. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, you can breastfeed for as long as you're comfortable breastfeeding. So I would never say, breastfeeding can come to an end just because they're having solids. I think the World Health Organization recommends going to 2 now. But as far as the nutrients that they are getting, if it's a nutritious meal that um, they are getting lots of protein and iron and the vitamins that they need, and they're having, I'm guessing, breast milk during the day after those feeds, possibly, depending on
mm,
how you're doing it, depending how you've advanced with that. They will have a lot during that 12-hour period when they're quite awake, and in between those naps. And now at night, the hardest breastfeeds to stop are that first one at night that's like a comfort. This is my part of my routine, and they need that to signal them that it's nighttime and it's time to sleep. And then that first one in the morning is kind of a, I haven't seen mom all night, even though they probably did. And they want to have that cuddle with you first thing in the morning. Otherwise, those feeds in the middle are not necessary at 9 months, unless they are waking up and they're signaling to you that they're hungry. If they're
mm,
waking up in the morning and having a nappy that's not very wet, then you know that they're not getting enough liquid during that time. So
mm.
they should wake up with, after that first, I'm sorry, after that last feed, before sleep. If it's a bottle, or if it's a good long breast milk feed, then they should wake up with quite a wet nappy.
Yeah. And I think also we need to remember, at sort of even that sort of 6.5 to 9 months, the kids are more active, so they need more fuel. So
Mm-hmm,
often
mm-hmm.
they they're waking at night because they haven't had the required calories in the day. So at
Mhm.
9 months or so, you'd probably be adding in a small morning and afternoon tea. So you're having
Mhm.
a breastfeed, a breakfast and a breastfeed, lunch and a breastfeed, dinner and a breastfeed, morning and afternoon tea. Like they're almost having something to eat every 2 hours because they're getting to be
Mhm.
crawling, pulling up to stand, rolling, active. They're not sleeping as much as a newborn. And so if they're not sleeping, they're active. So we've got to fuel that. So
Yes.
focus on getting those calories in the day. And a 9 month can sometimes eat as much as we do, but they just eat it in smaller quantities because they're so
Yes.
busy.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a common call that I get, or we get on PlunketLine.
Mhm.
Babies that were sleeping through all of a sudden waking up and seeming hungry at night. It's because they need more food in the day. Don't be
Mhm.
slow with this with the solids
Yeah.
once you start.
Yeah.
So here's another question. My 5-month-old only cat naps during the day, usually 30 to 45-minute naps. Is there a way to help extend these naps? Well, I think that's pretty normal. What do you think, Regina?
A 5-month-old sleeping for
Hmm.
30 to 45 minutes. All how many I wonder how many of those there
Well,
would be, maybe every 3 hours? 'Cause a
was and,
5-month-old should,
well, they
um
like probably a cat nap between each feed,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
what I'm
exactly.
reading that, and
Yeah.
that's one sleep cycle, 30 to 45
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you think, say a baby of this age is, I'm just having a scenario now, Lee, I don't
Mhm.
know your scenario. So say your baby's feeding 3 hourly, and because they're 5 months, they were staying awake for longer. So say your baby's staying awake for 2 hours or just over 2 hours. That only gives them another 45 minutes before the next feed is due. So that's
That's true.
why the
They're
naps
hungry.
are what they are. They're ready for
Yeah,
the next feed and they don't
exactly.
need as much sleep in the day. You might find that you have one sleep in the day that it maybe in the morning that is a bit longer, and then you're looking at those shorter, lighter sleeps throughout the day, and that's quite normal for a 5-month-old.
I agree, that is quite normal for a 5-month-old. Yeah.
Mm. All right, here's another one from
Okay.
Phoebe. Do you have any tips to help support a 3, nearly 4-month-old linking their sleep cycles? Our Baba will sleep typically for 30 minutes during the day before waking. Very rarely can he sleep for an hour. Also, any tips for working through the 4 month regression progression? We knew that would
Progression.
come up, hey?
Yes. Yes, we did. Yeah, yeah. So, we like to call it a progression because it means your baby is, growing and their brain is developing and their body is, getting bigger and they're developing all these new skills and they're excited about it. They want to use it and they have this real bad FOMO. They don't want to go to sleep. They want to wiggle and jiggle and look around at what's going on. And they're very aware. All the senses are coming online. They know where they are and who you are and what room they're in. And they absolutely want to have shorter sleep cycles so that they don't miss out. And
Mm.
it's
They
very
do.
normal.
Yeah, they do. Once they're on their 3 meals a day, sort of
Hmm.
7 months, you will find that they're also more mature and they're starting to link those sleep cycles. They're having like a milk feed and their solids and their tummy's nice and full and they can go to sleep. And often they'll sleep 1 to 2 hours then. So this
Hmm.
is just this transitional phase between sort of 4 months and 5 months and when they're on their 3 meals a day. So it's not going to last forever. And sometimes if we know that, we can just accept
Yeah.
it and run with
Just
it.
accepting it.
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah,
You don't want to
just
be
accept.
battling your kid to sleep, hey?
No, no, just knowing that I mean, some people claim their baby at 4 months, that they've trained them to have 2-hour naps during the day and 12 hours at night. That's a lot of sleep at that point for
Mm,
a baby that's been around for 4 months. So, that I mean, in theory, that could be what, 18 hours of sleep
mm,
a day?
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So, I mean, very rarely would a baby sleep that much, and I'd be worried about a baby that slept that much,
Yeah, I
so
agree.
yeah,
Mm,
so you want a baby that's showing you signs that they are, intelligent and their brain is growing and they're learning new skills, and so with
mm,
that comes, a lot of alertness.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
My son, when we started solids, um, in around 6 months, so I mean, I guess I could have called it the 6-month regression, but he was started to have a lot more trouble staying asleep at night, and you would think with that full tummy and getting all those solids in that he'd sleep a lot better, but actually, he was really stimulated by all that all these textures and tastes and the experience of being in the high chair and going to restaurants and realizing that we're having all these new foods and all these new smells and and he was like, oh yeah, and and so he was like really like you could just see his brain growing because he was just intrigued by food, and that 16-year-old loves food now.
Yeah, how lovely. It's so it's great to watch that if you know what you're looking for and you can
Yeah,
embrace it.
yeah,
Eh? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I hope that answered your question, Phoebe. Now there's a question from Sukithra. My child is 4 months old. She wakes the same time every night, and only her first nap is the longest, and after that she wakes every 2 hours. Is it because of hunger? Please help me here.
Oh, so the night sleeps are only she's not tying
So
together this.
she's doing the
Yeah.
big stretch, from when she goes down to, I would presume, about midnight or so, and then up to 2
Mm-hmm.
hourly. So, what do you think of
It just
that?
depends on it depends on what waking means. Is she just waking and grizzling and you're going to her and she knows now that mom will have a cuddle? And she's actually not hungry. She's just like, "Oh, I like a little cuddle now. It's time." Um, because she's like I said, she's getting more. She knows where you are. She knows what room she's in, and she knows that this is what can happen, and it's nice. She's lonely in there, maybe. So it's just about watching for those signs that she's waking but not tying those sleep cycles together, and
Mhm,
helping her um, get that good skill of grizzling a little. Obviously, if it escalates, she does need to be picked up, or if it's been
mhm,
4 hours, she's hungry. She needs to be fed.
mm,
But ideally, if you fed her at midnight, you'd like her to sleep until 4 in the morning. And if she's got that 2 a.m. wake in there, you do need to think about how are you going to respond to this? Is it listen, be patient, think, is it escalating? Can I just say, if she's in the room with her, you can just say to her, little one, it's sleepy time now, just in a nice, calm, relaxed voice. Try not to touch her or pat her, but if you need to escalate to that, you can. But ideally, it's just about, I'm here
mm.
with you. Let's
Try the
relax and
easy
go back
stuff
to sleep.
first. Yeah,
Try the
yeah.
easy stuff first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it could be, if you're breastfeeding, are you offering her both breasts at each feed in the day? Is she having a good
Mm-hmm.
feed, or is she getting distracted and she's able to go to sleep in the first half of the night, but she's feeling like she's missed out on some of the feeds in the day? Maybe she is hungry. So,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to look at the bigger picture. Maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
something we need to do in the day that's going to help at night. Mm,
Yeah, at that bedtime, how many nappies has she had that are wet?
mm,
If she's only
mm,
had 4 wet nappies at 7 p.m. from when she woke in the morning at 7 a.m., then and then she might only have one more overnight. So she really should have, ideally around
a
5 of those wet nappies during that 12-hour period with lots of feeds.
mm. And we have another question here from Chelsea, wondering about how to get baby to sleep in the cot. She will sleep in the cot at night when put down asleep, but in the day will only contact nap, and she's 4 months old.
Oh, that's pretty common. Yeah. Yeah,
It
they
is
just
a.
love those cuddles. They just love those cuddles. Um, and it's just what she's gotten used to. And so now it's going to be about establishing a routine that is similar, maybe exactly what you do at night to signal to her that it's time to get in the cot. So, obviously you're not going to give her a bath before every nap, but you can put her in some pajamas. You can give her a little massage. You can do a little reading and just have that, even if it's just 15 minutes of quiet time in the room where she's going to sleep as a signal to her that now it's safe for her to sleep here in this safe place
Mm,
that you have for her.
mm. And I think also having, some fun times in the room or in the cot when she is awake. So it's a nice place to
Mm,
go to sleep, having
yeah.
some floor time so she can see the mobiles and the color on the walls, and this
Mhm,
is her space. Or if you're needing to leave the room for any reason, pop her in the cot and let her have a little bit of a kick around, and
mhm,
you come back and you smile and you play. So it's a safe place for her to go. It's not just a sleep place.
mhm,
Sometimes
mhm.
that will help. Um, and I've also found, if you are holding to sleep, maybe just hold until she's drowsy, or pat and hold till she's drowsy and then put her down and pat in the cot. So the only thing you've changed is she's not in your arms, but she's in the cot and you're patting. You're still there, you're still supporting her. She may do a little bit of grizzling, and that's fine. You just keep the boring pat and going. And sometimes that is enough.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
If she enjoys that contact napping, she's going to also enjoy that heartbeat pat,
Mm,
which is a very similar sensation, and it can
mm,
transition really easily.
mm. So, the other question is, what do you think about swaddling babies to sleep, and what advice would you give to ensure that the little ones are safe? So I think we're talking about safe sleeping here, preventing the
Right.
sooty and the cot deaths and things. Mm,
Right, right. So to ensure that they're safe, make sure that your baby is on their back and you use a lightweight wrap. Make sure the wrap's not too tight so that it stops baby from moving, but the wrap's not so loose that they can cover their face. So it's kind of a balance. There's some really good videos on YouTube that teach you how to use a muslin wrap, or you can buy some wraps that have the arms where you can have the arms, either down or like this. I've always found that I like the ones where baby's hands are a little bit up
mm,
because they like to be able. Some of them like to suck on a finger or a thumb, and they feel like, I think it's more natural to what they're like in the womb. So having their hands up as opposed to being down.
like a
But the
like
most
a soldier.
like
I
a
was like, oh.
soldier. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and so make sure that baby's only swaddled when sleeping in their own bed. And if baby starts to roll over, getting to that stage where they're really moving and you're confident that they're rolling onto their tummy and then rolling back onto their back again, it's time to stop swaddling, or to swaddle so their arms are free so that they can move themselves around. So like one of those, that looks like a little jacket, with the arms
Mm,
gone, so, but their
like a
little
sleep
feet
sack.
are nice and cozy, like a
Mm,
sleep sack. Yeah,
mm,
yeah. Um,
mm, mm.
and this can act as a really good sleep cue. Yeah.
Yeah, and also just remember that babies, on their back, face free, smoke free, um,
Hmm.
and nothing else in the cot, like it's the mattress, no bumpers, no pillows, no fluffy toys, anything like that. It's just them and the mattress, and that's why a sleep sack might be better than a loose blanket as well. Well, it will be better than a loose blanket.
Exactly.
All right. So this is a question from Lauren. Should I wake my 3-week-old during his day naps if they go on beyond, say, for example, 2 hours, to encourage them to distinguish between day and night?
Not a newborn.
No. I think if he
No.
goes past 4 hours from the beginning of one feed to the beginning of the
Yes.
next feed,
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let them
yeah,
miss a feed. Especially,
no.
how old was the baby?
He's 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, especially a
Yeah.
three-week-old. They need those nutrients to, to grow, and they've only just gained back the weight that they may or have lost in that 2-week time period, you know, um, as a newborn, when they're really trying to get those nutrients in and figuring out feeding. But yeah,
Mm.
I would not wake them.
Yeah, I think, like in the day for this, anything between 2 and 4 hourly is fine. If he goes past 4 hours in the day, wake him up and give him a feed. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
hope that answers your question, Lauren. So then we've got a question from Vanessa. Is that okay to use the same music to sleep during day naps and during the night naps? That's number one. I think it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
yeah.
no, it
It,
doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as you're not
it's
sick of
it's
it.
a, no, and I suppose also that consistency is cueing as well, because sometimes people use the mobile music, and it's the same music all the
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. As still sleep times, or would it be best to be different? What I'm not quite sure what that is. What to do if my baby 4 months falls asleep literally while I bottle feed her? Once she did burp up, can I put her down to sleep at night, or should I wait for her to digest to avoid any reflux? Hmm.
Well, trying to keep them awake while feeding is ideal. So,
Hmm.
a gentle tickle on along her spine to try and stimulate her, wiggling her little arm very gently or her leg very gently to keep her awake. Good eye contact during bottle feeding can really help to stimulate baby. Does that sound right,
Yeah, or
Lynn?
it was yeah, also just take off a layer or use a
Okay,
cool cloth on
yeah.
her use a cool cloth on her face and her hands. Um, and then burping. Sometimes as they get older at night, if they're dead asleep, you could put them down. You know, if it doesn't come up the top, it will come out the bottom,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
wind.
exactly. Yeah, babies still
So,
do have that reflex at that age where they can lie flat face up and they will wake and put their head to the side if they do have a
mm,
bit of a spilly sort
the
of burp.
spill.
So, yeah,
Mm,
so that reflex is still there. So, not to
mm.
worry.
No, and that usually gets better with age as well when they can bring up their own wind or
Mm-hmm.
that spilling gets less. Yeah. All right, here's a question from Kavita. What do what what to do when you have twins and no one else there, so it's hard to have the cuddles? I tandem feed, but it's really hard settling both of them in my arms at the same time. Oh, that is a
Oh,
challenge.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. When they're quite little, it would be really hard. I don't how old were they, did you say? Do you remember?
Doesn't she doesn't say how old they
Doesn't say,
are.
yeah. Yeah, quite little, you're gonna need someone else. But then eventually they become aware of the other infant in a more tactile way, and so they'll know, "Oh, it's my turn for this, and that's her turn for," you know.
Yeah.
They
Or,
do they
like
get used to it.
if you take it in turns, you might take the one that's maybe a little bit more unsettled and put the other one in the
Mhm.
bouncer where she can see you, and maybe just
Mhm.
tapping your foot on the bouncer and talking to both of them, and then swapping around, one
Mhm.
feed, the other feed, depending on what's happening with them.
That's a
Um,
great
you
idea.
know, she's both of them are with you. They are in your presence. You're talking to them. You're changing their nappies. They're cuddling.
Mhm.
You know, changing a nappy is an opportunity to engage with your child.
Mhm.
So, you're blowing raspberries, you're talking to them, you're having a tickle, you're doing a little
Yeah.
massage.
Yeah, a
That's
little tummy
all,
massage. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all, working, facilitating that attachment with your baby. So it's just not about the cuddles, it's about taking the time with the nappy change or taking the time with the feed or just lying on the floor with both of them, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah,
Just
all the tummy time that you can get is great.
Yeah.
So
Do
depending on
what
how old they
works.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. Do what works for you. What works for others might not work for you. So just u-
Mhm.
use those moments. Right. Oh, here's one from Lynn Lee. She says, is it too late for a baby to learn self-settling at 15 weeks?
No. No.
No.
No, not at
That's
all.
really
Yeah.
early to be learning
Yeah, that's really
self.
early. Yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah.
just out of the infant stage. They are, they're learning lots of new skills, so it can be a tricky time for some babies. But you're actually right in the groove of, I know that you're growing, and I know that you've got all these things going on, and so like 15 weeks would they would have had their
3 months
12-week
M's.
immediate,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
EMs,
Yeah.
and so then they're settled with beyond that, and you can really start to have a really good pattern and a rhythm with a baby because you're used to having this little one in your home, and you can really engage them in the family's time for what happens in the time frame of your family life, and they're aware of people which they might really enjoy. Like if one or both parents work, then they can enjoy seeing someone they haven't seen all day, and have that is pretty tricky, isn't it? Because like if one of the parents comes home, say May at 6 p.m. after working all day, and you're trying to establish this routine with a 15-week-old baby, one parent might come home full of joy and energy for this child, but you just have to learn that on the days when you work, that time from 6 p.m. until bedtime does need to be like a quiet but cuddly time, and just make that part of your routine. So no, it's not too late
Not
at
too
all.
early to
Oh
learn
yeah,
self-settling. And remember,
yeah.
essentially, the true self-settling comes in a little bit later, more sort of that around that 6-month mark when babies are
Mm,
a little bit more aware. But they'd still need a lot of some babies still need a lot of help at 15 weeks to settle themselves off. And it won't work every single time, and that's okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Just like with
yeah,
us, we all have our nights we can't get right to sleep or stay
yes.
asleep.
I know.
Yeah.
I seem for full moon. I'm awake most nights. It's ridiculous.
Oh no.
I'm trying to work that out.
I think we're
Um,
ladies of a certain age, aren't we?
oh man. And then Moan is asking, what age can toddlers use a pillow?
Right, right. So, um, a toddler. So, if we're talking about like a 3-year-old, they might have the body to head ratio where they might need a little bit of head support, but younger than that, and it depends on the
No,
child, they don't need one at all.
no.
It just depends. Like some of these toddlers still have quite a big head compared to their body, and so you really don't need anything at all under their head. But if they start to look more like a little miniature adult and their head is in proportion like an adult, they might actually be more comfortable with a bit of support under their head. But I
Mm,
wouldn't do it before they were really safe, like 3.
no. And also, the chances of them staying on the pillow is quite slim.
Oh, they'll
Because
they'll end up
they
sideways and the pillow's on the floor.
yes, yeah, up and down and round and about, and they don't know really what a pillow is. They've slept for 2 years without a pillow. They're not gonna,
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
leave it for as long as possible.
Yeah, yeah, leave it for as long as possible.
Yeah.
I think some toddlers, I don't know if the trend is still around now, where they had those cuddle pillows that look like an animal. Um, and they were quite big, like as big as a laptop or bigger. And they were very velvety. And I think a lot of 3, 4, 5-year-olds were getting those for birthdays and stuff. And
Okay.
yeah, and they were sleeping with them and carrying them around everywhere, and it kind of became a thing. I don't know if it's still around now, post Pillow Pals or something, but you
No, I
know.
haven't heard of those ones.
Yeah, it was very trendy for a while there.
Oh gosh, this the trends. And now here's a question from Martine. My little one is 14 weeks. She rolls only from her back to her tummy, and this week has decided to sleep on her tummy. She has really great head control, and we do try to roll her over, but she just rolls back onto her tummy. Should we be concerned?
Well, it's a worry when they start to do this, but if a child has chosen and is capable of movement, then we really do need to let that happen. Don't stay awake all night watching her. Just make sure that her sleep space is safe. There's nothing in the cot that could endanger her. Some of them start to want to, move their little heads into the corner and squish their heads up against the edge of the cot and things like that. But if they're happy sleeping on their tummy with their little bum in the air, that's just what they're going to do. Um,
Mm,
if I have a child that, like you mentioned, that if you can roll them back over when they're sound asleep, you can do that. But if she moves herself back, she's developing a skill, and
yes.
it's actually quite protective.
Mm. And I think also if you keep going in, turning her over, then she realizes if she goes onto her tummy, mommy's going to come, and then you've got a
Yeah,
sort of a
yeah,
behavior overlay in there as well.
yeah, yeah.
So if she's finding a position that's comfortable for her, and you're keeping her safe, as we mentioned earlier about cot safety and things, and just let her be. just let her be. I agree with you,
Mhm.
Regina. Yeah. So we have one last question before wrapping up, and it's from Elena. Is it a bad idea to read a book during the day feeds if you'd like to differentiate them from the evening feeds?
I guess and feed would be the feed before a nap, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so I suppose the
Read it
feed before.
yeah, the phone I mean, I don't think that books are ever gonna be a signal for a child to sleep, but the book will be a signal for a child to calm.
Mm.
So, it can be a part of the bedtime and the nap time routine, but it's not necessarily gonna be like they're not gonna conk out because they see a book.
No, and I don't think any reading in the day or night is a good thing.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
if she associates reading before she goes to bed, whether she goes to sleep in the day sleeps or the night sleep, she's going to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. Um, well, if you have any questions that haven't been answered, or you have any concerns about your child or where you are with sleeping and things, please give PlunketLine a call. We're here 24/7. And also check out our sleep and settling course on our Plunket website, plunket.org.nz. It's on the front page and it's highlighted in like an orange little oval, and you can click on that and just go in and out as you need. And just you might want to cherry pick what you want to watch first.
Mhm.
Um, so I hope you found this. I hope you found this information good and helpful. And thank you, Regina, for being here with us and sharing your knowledge and your expertise and your stories. It has been good. And we look forward to seeing you at our next live Facebook chat. I'm not sure what the topic will be, but keep a lookout and come and join us next time.
Yes, thank you very much, Lynn, for joining me tonight. And everyone have a really calm and relaxed bedtime now. And just remember that baby can feel your tension, so take some deep breaths, relax your body, and baby will relax and sleep too.
Yes. I was just on a note there, the number of parents that call us with screaming babies, and just by talking to them gently and getting the information, and 5 minutes they say, where's your baby? What's it doing? Gone to sleep because parents had calmed down nicely. I think you've
Yes,
had the same,
exactly.
eh?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So take those deep breaths. May your evening be calm and your night be good, and everybody sleep happily. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.